And some man came through town and he saw that antenna and he wondered what it was, so he came in and asked me. He was Fred Allman, who was head of the radio station in Harrisonburg. He finally said, did we want to build a radio station, or did I want to build a radio station in Orange? And I said, well, I think it'd be great if we could.
But I remember Welford coming up to us, I think that's what happened. He said, we want a radio station if we can get one. And the meetings will be at the courthouse. And we met with the FCC representative. And I think he wanted to know whether the town was willing to support the radio station.
Still a small, rural courthouse town as it had been since before the American Revolution, Orange was home to Sherman and 2,500 other Virginians.
It was just a small town, that's all. I guess the population at that time, in the early 40s, might have been 2,500.
I was building a television station in Baltimore at the time. Then he came and said, would you be interested in that station? I want to start up in Orange, Virginia. We located the studio and transmitter and everything at the DeVivi restaurant.
The building was not being used. He had built it, but it wasn't being used. And so he was willing to rent it. There was room out behind to put the antenna.
But even with the new real estate secured, there was still a problem. The Federal Communications Commission worried that the new radio station in Orange would interfere with a station on the same frequency, WINX, up in Washington. Sherman remembered the signal tests to assure them otherwise took a long time. But with that time, he worked to secure funding for the venture, which would come to be named in honor of Orange County's most famous native son. Sherman invited Main Street businessmen in Orange to join him in the new James Madison Broadcasting Corporation.
I remember going around selling the stock. If the people had the money, they were glad to do it. They thought it was good for the town. There may have been one or two that turned us down.
But I think everybody that did do it, the business people, thought it would be a good thing for the town.
Good for the town became a theme in Sherman's life. Whether building a radio station or rescuing the President Madison Inn from the wreckers' ball, his neighbors remember him for his service to the town of Orange.
Welford has done what he could for Orange for a long time. His efforts with the radio station are that same sort of thing. Doing something within the community. Hopefully it's going to be an economic success, but even so, it's no matter what, it is worth doing.
Welford is probably our most interviewed, our most written up citizen in the community, and I interviewed him for my Greatest Generation book, and he's in there. Yeah, I think he was venturesome and ambitious.
And I was in on the launching of WJMA in 1949.
Of course, we wouldn't have any TV there to speak of. And right after the war, you see, everybody trying to establish their business or improve their old businesses if they had one.
At noon on Saturday, September 10th, 1949, WJMA signed on the air for the first time. While the station sent out its new 250-watt signal to the people of Orange, station manager Art Livick and landlord Al DeVivi cut a cake in celebration.
I do remember we had a formal ceremony and all the stockholders and the dignitaries were there. I was assistant manager, announcer, continuity writer, jack of all trades. I did a little sales. We were very small. I'm trying to remember if we had a staff of 5 or 6 people, I'd say that's about all we were working with. Joe Trivette, morning man, Boyd Schellinger, Ann Butler, who started out as our receptionist, and that was her primary job. But Art very wisely decided she had a good voice, which she did, and put her on the air on a limited basis. She was not a regular announcer. She did some women's programming that some announced some commercials. Sunday nights, as long as they ran the open house, that was a command performance. Everybody showed up. That was fun. The place would be filled. As I recall, she had, I hate to say items of local gossip, but social items of local interest.
The news, of course, and we had some musical things, mostly recordings. A lot of it were recordings from we sold records at that time, amongst other things. And a lot of them were my records.
Then it was on to the business of running the new station. Livick was busy selling advertising, overseeing staff, and producing programs.
Arch had a program he called The Old Timer, which was very popular. And he imitated somebody called The Old Timer. And he didn't have a bit of trouble selling time.
The Old Timer, who became so popular the people of Lahore, Virginia, voted him mayor.
WJMA was a very locally oriented station.
Art Livick left in 1952, and Alfred Walthall became the general manager. Under Walthall, WJMA began broadcasting Orange High School football games in 1954.